Well, it's springtime, so love is in the air, and we have plenty of celebrity engagements to be excited about.
That's right. Halle Berry and Olivier Martinez, Jason Sudeikis and Olivia Wilde, and of course, Brangelina. Brad Pitt, Angelina, for those who don't know what Brangelina means. But of course, the best laid schemes of brides and grooms often go awry, and some celebs, yes, even they have to call it off. And here to fill us in on all the details about what happens when the celeb marriages become I don'ts before they even became I do's is Andrew Schmertz, U.S. business editor.
First, good to see you in the afternoon, Christina.
I know, it's nice to see you too. It's usually in the
we have
morning.
lunch and then we all freak out.
Well, now you're both here, and we appreciate you having you both on the show today. And Andrew, you got to tell us, these engagements are getting called off.
Sure,
what are some instances that are recent you could tell us about?
Yeah, well, sometimes, calling off a wedding costs more than heartbreak. It costs a lot of cash. And it seems celebrities are particularly good at breaking off their impending vows. Now, why do people break up? So we've done a lot of research into this. Some couples just find they're not compatible late, and others find that their partner is just plain old crazy. That seems to be the case with the celebrities. So some big names who have called it quits before walking down the aisle: Britney Spears and Jason Trawick. Officially, Britney wanted more children. Kanye West and Alexis Pfeiffer broke it off because Alexis feared that Kanye was getting back together with his ex, which is usually a deal killer, I would say.
Sort of.
And when Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck called off their wedding, Affleck said, quote, "I was typecast. I thought I was too typecast myself. Too many people weren't getting past what they read about me, so I took a break and let things calm down." I have no idea what that means. If someone breaks up with you and says, "Sorry, I have to break up with you because I just feel typecast," what kind of answer is that?
I wonder if he even knows what that means.
But the thing is,
he went on a big campaign, really trashing her, by the way.
Well, the thing is, I think that's wrong. First of all, it didn't work out. Go your separate ways. Don't trash each other. But I think it's better that you call it off before the wedding happens than once you're already in the marriage.
Well, we talk about the cost of breaking off the wedding, but the cost of divorce is probably a lot bigger, especially for celebrities.
And it also depends where they got married, if there was a prenup, if children are involved. But since we're talking about the wedding, just how much can it potentially cost someone to break off a wedding? Because there are deposits to be made, there are dresses and
people are flying in from all over the country sometimes. So it depends. If if it's 6 months before the wedding, you'll get probably the deposit back on the whole. You'll be able to cancel the tuxedos. But in these cases, sometimes people break off the weddings the day before, or worse, when people are sitting there waiting for you to marry, and then you lose the whole thing. And in New York, people are spending as much as $75,000 to get married.
To get married?
Now you could go right down to City Hall, and just pay, I think, $15,
and
which may be the way to go, by the way.
There's no magic to that.
Where's that $75,000 going? Is that for flowers? Is that the food?
If you get the Waldorf Astoria ballroom, and you buy a lot of food and entertainment. People want bands these days. They don't want just the disc jockey.
My goodness.
So
and you got to think the food. I think a lot of times when I got married, the food was one of the most expensive things that we had to pay for.
So in New York, it's $375 a plate per person.
Wow. Where is that?
Which means you better invite people that you really want to be at your wedding.
Absolutely.
You can't use your wedding as a political affair, that you have to invite these people because you're friends with them or because you work with them. It's too expensive to go that route.
When you got married, was there sort of the A list and the B list? And the B list, you kind of
unfortunately, there was a list because we couldn't afford to have everybody and their mother there. And, a lot of people was like, well, I think the rule that a lot of wedding planners give, if you haven't talked to this person in the last year, they don't need to be there. Because when you're talking about $300 and something dollars
and
a
Facebook
plate,
doesn't count.
No, right. A lot of people these days think it does. But if you're talking about $300 a plate, that is going to add up quick when you start having your cousin's cousin, and people that you don't care about haven't called you, haven't sent you a Christmas card, and they want to come and eat your $300.
Yeah.
Something's got to work out.
And then here's the other thing. Don't say that you're going to come to the wedding and then not show up.
Oh, that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
No, you have to send a gift double the value of what you would normally do if you do that.
Okay,
you better have that's my opinion. You have to have a really good reason. Now, I don't know about you, but you go to weddings and you say, I wonder how much this cost.
Oh, all the time.
Yes.
That's one of the main things you think about.
And quite frankly, sometimes you have a pretty good idea just based on the layout, just based on the reception room. But I do have to ask you this, Andrew. What about the engagement ring?
You know, that's a...
Do you have to give it back?
You know...
Because Christina's like, because I wouldn't be giving it back.
Do you have to?
You know, when these things end up in court, the decisions are all over the place. So there's a couple rules of thumb here. Who broke off the engagement? Did
but
the
why
bride?
does it matter? You've given me the engagement
Well,
ring.
okay, so in some cases...
She's like, I got to get the answer
Boy,
to
this
this.
is like-
I need to know now.
She's going to sign me to a retainer. I feel like. So basically, in some jurisdictions, it is a gift. And it doesn't matter. It is not a contract. I'm not giving you a ring for you to marry me. So it's a gift, like other jewelry that you may be given. And in that case, you're probably free to keep it. In other places, it does come down to fault, and that there is a little bit of a contractual relationship. So it really depends on the state. And it may come down to who broke it off and why it was broken off. When these things end up in litigation, they usually end up in litigation when things are really, really
Nasty.
bad.
Can you put that in the prenup also?
I think you
Can
can,
bring it back?
absolutely.
'Cause,
And we
Fergie's
did a
ring-
segment on prenups,
That's
and they
right.
are enforceable.
And some people would even question it, and this is kind of unfortunate too. If you're having those kinds of conversations, then sometimes the question becomes, well, just how serious is our love in this relationship
Right.
if we're talking about prenup, if we're talking about if we break
I'll
up,
tell
do
you,
I give back the ring, and so on and so forth.
You know, Raoul Felder, who's one of the famous divorce attorneys, I've spoken to him about this, and he says everybody needs a prenup, and that's just the fact of
Even
life
broke
these days.
people?
Everybody needs a prenup.
I'm
because you may
taking
not
my
be
$2
broke
in bus
forever.
pass and I'm going my separate way.
Even broke people.
Even broke people. He says get a prenup.
Especially for that ring, because Fergie's ring cost $75,000, but Jay-Z bought Beyonce a $5 million ring. I would have to want that ring back.
I mean, in that case, honestly, it's just cheaper.
Where do
to
you
keep
wear
it.
that ring, by the way? $5 million ring on the
You
subway?
can't-
Everywhere, Andrew.
Anywhere you have a security
You don't
guard to
even-
protect you.
You wear it
just-
and you walk like this, right? You walk with your arm out first, with your hand in a fist, going like
And a
this. You
certificate
wear
of
a $5
authenticity
million
with it.
ring everywhere.
Okay.
Okay, but seriously, I have to think about something else though. When we're talking about all this cancellation and calling off the wedding, what about all your guests who may have booked a flight or hotel room to come to your event?
So if you're a guest, you're kind of,
On your own?
On your own. I mean, you can ask to be reimbursed, but it's probably not going to happen. But for bridesmaids and grooms who go get the formal wear, sometimes,
goodness.
remember, sometimes you pay for that if you're in the wedding party, and sometimes the others pay for it. But someone is going to get hit with that bill because it's not easily returnable, according to some of the research we've done. Now, in any cases, when people are flying in from elsewhere in hotel rooms, all of that is often non-refundable.
So getting back to the ring thing.
Oh, Lord. She's like, I got to make sure I'm clear on this ring.
Question, does the value amount of the ring often factor into whether or not you have to give it back?
That's a good question, and I
Right.
think it comes down, probably not. No, so if you're spending $5 million on the ring, love is love. Why are you asking how much the ring costs?
Listen,
By the way, should brides be knowing what the value is? Is that the first thing you...
no,
It's
no.
not the size of the ring, it's the thought that counts.
Yeah, but the size might help you get a yes.
Uh-oh. Well, she was like, hint,
is
hint,
not-
note to self somebody out
My
there.
honey, who is watching tonight, he is going to be like, what?
He's like,
And
okay.
don't expect to get it back
I
if things
know.
go south.
Clearly, Christina's not trying to give any ring back. So just to be clear,
Exactly.
Andrew, always
I'm going
great
to hear about
advice.
it after today's show. Thank
I
you.
know.
That was so
Thank you.
informative.
Yeah, that's good to
Thank
hear.
you,
And let's
Andrew.
just say we just hope when people get married, they stay together. They don't have to call off the wedding and all
That's
that.
true.
So we hope everyone the best out there, right?
That's a very nice aspirational thing.
There you go.
thought
We
for the end
do.
of the
We
week.
do hope for the best.
Yes. All right.
But we'll be here for the worst. But the covering when
If it
it
goes
happens.
south, we'll be here to report it to you first. All right. You're watching Arise Entertainment 360.